Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today we got the second sneak peek for the upcoming Dark Avengers update, and it's a character that we were all suspecting, ARES. Now, I gotta say, this is not the most hype sneak peek ever. I'm not actually gonna play the audio for it because it's honestly just a lot of wind-swept dust. That's really a lot of the sound effects. Then you get some sword swinging and stuff like that. So you have sort of like an ancient Greek backdrop in the sun. You've got the sort of statue. At first, I thought the top of his head, the top of his helmet was his face looking up, so his neck was super long. Anywho, so you've got sort of like a gladiator type pose, and then the statue breaks open, and you know there was a warrior inside all along, and it's ARES, and he's like, "Yo, what's up?" And this is the character model, and he swings at you, and then that's it, and that's the whole sneak peek. That's the whole sneak peek, and I gotta say. Apologies to the sneak peek team, but this is definitely one of the more lackluster sneak peeks. There's way too much dust and wind, in my opinion. I mean, again, it's in my opinion. It's just my subjective thoughts and feelings on it. But I just feel like there's nothing to get hype about here. There's a lot of buildup for him to break out of the shell, and then when he breaks out of the shell, he looks exactly the same. Like, we can't see his face. I don't know if Marvel really wanted him to be obscured, but you basically have to go frame by frame here in the last 2 seconds of the image to see anything. Like, it's all brown and beige and black, and yeah, it falls flat. I think they were going for like this moody aesthetic and this vibe, but honestly, I feel like it kind of missed on this one. So yeah, there's ARES. For those of you that are wondering why I'm talking about Greek mythology, yes, ARES is the same ARES from Greek mythology, the god of war, and he basically has most of, if not almost identical powers to the actual Olympian gods from ancient Greek mythology, from classical history. He's got, you know, invincibility or immortality. He can shapeshift, like the way Zeus shapeshifts into all these animals to have sex with all these mortals. Spoiler alert, by the way, on ancient Greek, tales. He's got super strength. He's got super durability. He's a weapons master. He's a tactician. He's got all these fighting styles because he's the god of war. And more so than other Olympians, he's a bit more battle hardened and battle tested because, again, that's literally his name. He is Ares, the god of war. So, you know, Aphrodite is good at this. Athena is good at that. You know, Persephone is good at that. And Ares is good at battles, at killing, at bloodshed. Now, the character is actually pretty interesting. He used to be really boring, but he is more interesting now. However, I do feel like the character is going to be kind of boring in Marvel Future Fight unless they do something really creative with his kit, because we just have a lot of sword-wielding characters. We have a lot of characters with weapons. We have a lot of these types of characters, so we'll have to wait and see. My speculation is that he's going to be a bit of a forgettable character. I hope not, but that's just sort of how I feel. He's almost guaranteed to be either combat or universal. Now, he could be universal because, like Thor being a Norse god, right? Most of the gods, minus maybe like Apocalypse calls himself a god, but yeah, most of the gods in the game are universal type. You know, you have Odin and Thor. You've got Jane Foster. You've got, you know, all these rulers, even not just gods, but rulers, Dark Dimension, stuff like that. You know, these types of characters usually end up being universal. However, he could also very much be a combat type because he sort of personifies that combat type, kind of like Gladiator sort of thing. Now, here's the thing with ARES. We'll talk about the character a little bit, and then we'll talk about what he means for the rest of the update. I'm pretty sure Sentry is like guaranteed now. But anywho, so if we go over to the sneak peek on Twitter, they said, this warmongering deity, so, you know, war god, has an axe to grind with Marvel Future Fight's update. Over on the forums, they went into a little bit more detail. I don't want to go too heavy into this, but basically they go on to say, just like Thor, another hero from the worlds of gods joins the battle. So this is why I said he might be universal, because they are referencing Thor, and Thor is universal, and Thor is a Greek god, or Norse god from Norse mythology. This hero has been both a superhero and a supervillain for a long time, fighting for centuries for the sake of battle. Now he comes to join the team of Norman Osborn to protect world order. He joins the Dark Avengers. Who knows what role he will fulfill in the new team. So they're sort of leaving his hero or villain tag ambiguous. They're leaving it sort of up to the question of what it's going to be. War comes for us all. Please look forward to the rage of Olympus in the battle to come. How about you look forward to the rage of the boycott? Because A lackluster update is the last thing you guys need. This is the last update of the year. You guys are dealing with a boycott, you guys being the Marvel Future Fight dev team. You don't want this update to fall flat. Now, of course, we are expecting Sentry, who is a huge, mega popular character. I've already had people message me and say, listen, Alex, I love the boycott, but if they bring my boy Sentry, you know I gotta drop the big bucks for Sentry. And sure, Sentry, sure, I understand. If you gotta drop the big bucks for Sentry, I get it. He's your favorite character. He's very cool. He's got a long history in the comics. He's very strong. Listen, I understand. I've spent plenty of money on this game. I don't judge, and I don't drop any judgment on you. So don't feel bad if you want to drop money for Sentry, even though there's a boycott. You can still do your own thing and sort of support the boycott in your own way. But as far as the update right now, Green Goblin getting a uniform, not that hype. ARES, honestly, in my opinion, not that hype. So that's kind of good. That's kind of good for the boycott because it gives players more confidence and it really gives us more time to stall them out and to grind them out and to be like, listen, you guys are just going to keep your revenue is going to keep dropping unless you change this game for the better. And you go look at the likes and dislikes, bada bing, bada boom. You guys are getting hammered. You guys are getting hammered on the like dislike. We're pissed. We're still pissed. You want to talk God of War? Your player base is the God of War right now. So that's ARES. And that's his power set, and that's sort of what we can expect from him. Now, here's the thing with ARES' backstory. ARES used to be just a very typical cookie-cutter villain, bad guy, smash him up. He was introduced as a main villain for both Heracles and Thor when he was first introduced. But the Marvel writers, got kind of bored with that and just like, okay, yeah, he's the God of War, so he has to be evil. It was just kind of too obvious, too one-dimensional. So they decided to make ARES a sort of anti-hero, or not really an anti-hero, but he's sort of like anti-hero villain, called like that. He's not really interested in being a hero or being a villain. He just wants to battle. Whether he's battling for good or he's battling for evil, that's just what he wants to do. So when he joins the Dark Avengers, he thinks his own sort of ethos and his code of what he does. His idea is that Norman is going to give him more opportunities for more epic battles, and he can put his power to use, and he can really flex his stuff. It's almost like Escanor with pride. He's not really interested in necessarily doing the right thing or even being a bad guy. He just wants to flex how powerful he is, and he just wants to find a worthy opponent. So that's a much more interesting character, and it does open the door for Marvel Future Fight and the devs, if they're feeling creative and they want to bring interesting characters to the game, that I can actually say, hey, maybe you want to invest in this character or whatever. They could bring back the neutral typing. Rather than being a hero, rather than being a villain, he could be neutral, like Destroyer. We've talked about this before with characters like Moon Knight, characters like Punisher. They're not really heroes, but they're not villains either. There's something else. And he could be really OP. He could do more damage to heroes and villains, right? He could have some sort of mechanic that makes him very good, because of course, if you make him not a hero and not a villain, I mean, he would still get certain bonuses, like applies to all allies, stuff like this, right? That's all allies, so that could be heroes, villains, or other. He would get this, and he would get the Taskmaster, Weapons Master bonus, because there's no way ARES is not going to have the Weapon Master ability, but he wouldn't be able to benefit from, Coulson's passive, Shuri's passive, etc. So, or maybe he would benefit from Shuri. He wouldn't benefit from the hero stuff, but I guess he would benefit from he wouldn't benefit from Coulson, but he would benefit from Shuri because it says all allies. Okay, never mind what I'm saying then. They wouldn't have to make him overpowered to compensate for that. He just wouldn't be able to take advantage of Dormammu's leadership, and he wouldn't be able to take advantage of the hero-specific leaderships and passives if he was neither villain nor hero. But yeah, more interesting than ARES is that ARES pretty much guarantees we're getting Sentry. And the reason why I suggest and I say that is there's so much mounting evidence for this. So one, Sentry was one of the highest voted new characters to come to the game. He might have actually been the #1 most voted character. Now, Spider-Woman was like number 6 or number 7 on the list of most wanted characters when we had that list. uniforms that we most wanted, character reworks that we most wanted. Maybe not uniforms, but anyways, it was character reworks, new characters, game mode reworks, etc. So Spider-Woman, we already got her. Null, we already got him, but not as a playable character. Sentry was up there. Sentry was definitely up there. And we know he's on the Dark Avengers. And specifically his interaction with Ares is something that is etched in the minds of people who have read the Siege storyline. Now, a little bit of a graphic image warning if you have, children or people who don't want to see graphic images watching. You should close your eyes or skip ahead a minute. But fair warning, I'm going to show it now. This scene, it's also spoilers. Sorry, I should have said it's also spoilers for the Siege storyline, but I sort of implied that it was spoilers for the Siege storyline. That Sentry and that body that you see, that sort of that mess of stuff there, that's Ares. Well, that's Ares, and that's Ares, and that's Ares, and that's Ares, and that's Ares. Yeah, he grabs Ares and he rips him into organs and blood. I think that's Ares' face, or maybe part of his spine. Anywho, pretty mental, and he's holding his arm there, and yeah, so it makes sense, right? They're introducing Ares, and then they're going to introduce Sentry. So yeah, I'm pretty confident we're going to be getting Sentry. Sentry is super hype. Sentry may be the only aspect of this update that is actually hype. On the one hand, I am very excited. Not very excited. I'm pretty excited for Green Goblin to finally get a rework. However, I'm worried that he's going to turn into a blast type, and we need more speed villains, so I really hope he stays speed type. I really, really do hope he remains a speed type, but we'll have to wait and see. Honestly, Ares, unless they do something very creative, I love combat types, but even I'm kind of sick of combat types. We've gotten a lot of combat types lately that are very, very good. And I've invested in a lot of the combat types recently. Venom, Carnage, Hulk, Cho, Moon Knight. All of these characters in the last 4 months alone. Gladiator, right? So a ton of investment into combat types. I'm not saying we don't need more combat types, but we need combat female types. We definitely need combat female types. And unless they do something creative with him, he might just end up feeling like, a much stronger version of Swordmaster. And that he might just feel like a free-to-play version of Abomination. It's just so, yeah. We'll have to wait and see. Anywho, those are my thoughts and my predictions and my feelings and my speculation about the update. Hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think of Ares. Let me know what you think of Sentry and what you think of the update and the boycott and Black Friday and all that stuff. Listen, we're on the precipice of what could be a very, very interesting next few days. So we'll have to see how Marvel Future Fight responds, if they respond, and then how we, the players, want to go forward with, how we support the game. Are we going to support the game by playing and vocalizing our dissatisfaction with certain aspects? Are we going to play and support them financially, like by spending money? And also, voice our dissatisfaction. Who knows, right? I'm not saying one is automatically better than the other. I'm just saying there are different ways that different people want to approach it. So yeah, hit me up in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. That's sneak peek number 2, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.